started up again. Just want to review what you got to do this week for your homework. Okay? I know I've already gone through this, but we'll just talk about it again. Again, you're going to go to my class website, select the homework, go to homework 1. Okay? You are going to read through everything here and do the problems assigned. Okay? Here I say review of algebra and tutor recommendations. Actually, I don't have any tutor recommendations. The tutors that I recommended have all moved on in their life and no longer offer tutoring. So unfortunately, I can't. My tutor recommendations page is no good. If you need to review algebra, and that's going to be many of you, I would say this is the best week to do it because it's the beginning of the course, and the homework this week is really easy, so you can probably actually finish all of the homework in just a couple days, or one day, or whatever. And so I would do that as quickly as possible, and I would spend a lot of time going over algebra and arithmetic, especially if you did poorly on that quiz that I handed out today. I would say it's a good idea to do this, okay? So anyway, that is available on the homework page, okay, under the resources right here, okay? Review of algebra. You're going to, again, not turn in the actual problems, but you'll turn in the homework completion page. So if you click that link, it takes you to over here, and you're going to download the homework paper, okay? And so this is it. All right. Little tip here, I would just print out 9 copies of this right this week and keep them in your backpack, okay? Because every week I get someone who says, oh no, I forgot my homework paper. I did the homework, I promise, but I forgot to print out this paper or something, okay? Just print out 9 copies of this, keep it in your notebook, and fill them out each week, okay? Save yourself some headaches, okay? Going back to homework 1, okay? So again, this week, you're going to do your reading in the book, and you're going to do all of these exercises right along here, okay? And you're going to do chapter 2, and you're going to do these exercises from chapter 2 as well, okay? Again, do not forget to do this thing. Provide your name and email address. And the link to it is right here, okay? If you have a phone, you might as well do this right now, okay? I'm not going to get mad at you for being on your phone, okay? That way you won't forget that you've done this, okay? Because if you don't do it by next week, you will not get full credit for your homework. So just go to my page, click that link, type in your name and your email address. Say you're in the XL10 class, and you're done, okay? Joining the Facebook group, that's optional. You can do that. And then, please read through the course policies. I'm going to just have to fix these links. I'm not sure why they're not showing. After you've done the problems, you can go through and check your answers here, okay? I think. Alright, yeah, oh gosh, I hate hearing my own voice here, but there they are, okay? And you can watch this, and what's that? Sometimes ads show. I make like 1 penny after 100 views, so I do. But that's there, okay? Doesn't even cover the hosting costs of the rest of the website, so for the domain registration. But whatever, it helps. Okay, so well, the domain actually it covers the domain. I make at least $10 off of YouTube ads a year. But anyway, okay, so that's that. The lecture video, whoops, under XL10 lecture videos, they will show up here. These are last quarter's videos. I don't want to see it, but this is what it looks like here. Yeah, that's what it looks like. That was me last quarter. Okay. And so there you have it. Okay. Yes. Was there a question?
No, I just said bless you. That's all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Someone speak.
So, all right. I thought you were yelling something at me. All right. Okay. So then they'll get posted here, and I try to record all of my lectures, but sometimes the camera glitches out and it doesn't happen. I don't know. Is there a solution for recovering corrupted video files for free? I've looked it up and it's all like $100 per video or something. It's ridiculous here. Okay. Again, any questions? Any questions on the stuff we've covered so far? We're good. All right. Let me turn off this screen here. And hold that up. All right, so this week, the content of our lecture and the homework that you have is relatively easy, okay? Or it's actually really easy, especially compared to the rest of the course. I've given you a simple idea of what statistics is all about. And this week, more than other weeks, and I feel comfortable doing it this week, especially because the content of the chapters is, in my opinion, so easy. This week, more than other weeks, I'm going to have you guys learn from reading the textbook, okay? Most of the time, I try to explain as much as possible. I try to fit as much as I can into the lecture so that you can learn in class, review the video, and you'll have that. This week, I feel like a lot of these topics are conceptual, and you can read through some stuff, especially, section 1.4, which is about observational studies versus experiments and things like that. I feel that it's straightforward enough that you can do the reading, take your time as you do the reading, and you can teach yourself this stuff here, okay? We will have our first quiz in 2 weeks, okay? So not next week, but the week after. And you will be covered on stuff from chapter 1, okay? And I'm going to focus a lot of my energies when I go over chapter 1 on certain sections, and I might not have covered everything that's covered in the quiz per se, but I think it's fair enough to just say you've got to read the textbook and you've got to learn some of these concepts. All right. So the first thing is we're going to have a little discussion about what data is and how this all matters. Okay. So data is information that has been organized. Data is. This is a very loose definition of data. And so, what I want you to imagine is think of basically a spreadsheet where you're gathering information, okay? So let's say I tell you, go out and gather some information for me, okay? Go out, survey the students in this classroom. I want to know how old each person is and whether they are male or female, and how many siblings they have. So let's say, okay, so let's say I tell you, here's an assignment that's not a real assignment, okay? Your task, gather this information. Okay? So, go gather this info, survey the students in the class, and I want to know, their age, what did I say? Their height. So say height, weight, sex, how many siblings. What else should we put on here? That this is not a real survey that everyone's going to answer, but just say, we want to know information of you. Their hair color, okay, sure. Did I get enough? Sure. All right, so imagine you were given this task, and you have to go around the classroom. And the roster says there's 84 of you. I don't think all 84 of you are here today, but whatever. Okay, so let's say you want to gather this information on 84 people. Am I hearing something high-pitched? It's just me. Tonight. No. All right. If you had to organize a spreadsheet to gather this data, how would you do it? Have any of you work on the spreadsheet? Yes. Okay. So don't be shy. We would make column headings. Yeah? Okay. All right. What would our column headings be?
Age, height, weight, sex.
All right. Good. Okay. So, I mean, optional, we could include a name if we wanted to, but whatever, we don't have to. And then the different column headings would be age, height, weight, basically all of these things I've written, right? Sex, siblings, and hair color. Okay, so we make column headings, and then each row would be, each row is a person, okay? And then Excel, if you use Excel, which you may or may not, okay? Each row is a person. So each column is a variable. Okay? Each column in our data frame, or our data set, is a variable, and they answer our questions. Okay? Each row is a person. Okay? Another word would be a case or a subject. So how many rows would I end up having?
84.
I would have 84, because that's what I said, how many people there are in this classroom. 1, 2, 3, all the way down to 84. Okay, and so, our first person might be Joe. He is 21, or I just wrote 20, so he's 20. He is, let's measure in inches. Let's say 72 inches, 6 feet tall, weighs 173 pounds, male, has 2 siblings, and has black hair. Okay. And then person number 2, Sam. Okay. And we can go through and gather this data for every single person in the class, if we wanted to. Okay? Okay. So we have each column a variable, each row is a person. Okay? If I wanted to okay, we can say whether a variable is numeric or categorical. And this is an important distinction, okay? Some variables are numeric and some variables are categorical. Okay? Numeric variables tell us how much or how many. So this is important, but I don't want to change the board here. So I'm going to just write this over here. Make sure you write this down somewhere. Okay? Variables can be numeric or categorical. Okay. Numeric is sometimes called quantitative. And they tell us how much or how many. Categorical, they tell us what type or what kind. Alright, so let's go through our variables and we'll identify whether they are numeric or categorical. Okay, age.
Numeric.
Numeric. Tells us how many years you have been alive, how many times you have revolved around the sun. Okay. Numeric. Height. Numeric. How many inches tall are you? Weight. Also numeric. Alright, great. I like the murmur that I'm hearing. Sex.
Categorical.
Categorical. You are male or female. Or something else. How many siblings?
Numeric.
It's numeric. How many? Okay. And hair color?
Categorical.
Categorical. Alright, good. Simple enough. Or it feels that way at least, right? This is very, very important. You've got to be able to tell whether a variable is numeric or categorical. And if you finish this class and you cannot tell the difference between a numeric and categorical variable, you do not deserve to pass the class. Okay? You've got to know the difference between a numeric variable and categorical variable. But it might not always be so clear-cut. You know, when I've got the data table and each row listed out, it seems very clear and obvious that this is numeric data and this is categorical data. Okay? All right, let's try something here out, okay? I'm going to write something up on the board. Maybe I'll make this just a wee bit complicated. Not complicated. It's not complicated, it's very simple. But I'm going to just change it up so it's not looking exactly like that. And we still should be able to answer whether our variable is numeric or categorical. Well, maybe we want to okay. So let's say we surveyed 84 people and asked if they own a cat or a dog. And the cat, or here, let me say, if they owned a cat, and if they owned a cat and also asked, oh gosh, if they owned a dog, that's a, and we will say, 22 people own cats. 25 owned a dog. 48 did not own a pet. As the results of our survey. Okay, so this is the premise, and these are our results. What are the variables that we have? And are they categorical or numeric? Okay, how many variables do I have? Alright, good thing that we're not ending the course now. Okay. Alright, so just imagine, we surveyed 84 people for a reason, okay? Alright, imagine you've got to set up your spreadsheet to gather this data. Okay? How would you set up your spreadsheet?
Cats, dogs, or both in the meter, or would that be?
How should we set up our spreadsheet?
Pet owners versus non-pet owners.
You guys are killing me. You guys are killing me. Alright. All we have to do, let's say I said, survey this classroom. 84 people. Alright? Okay? All you have to do is ask two more questions. Do you have a cat? Do you have a dog? Alright? These are the only two questions you have to answer. Alright? Or do you have a or multiple dogs, I should say. Okay? And then you just have two more columns. Cat, dog. Okay? And then so our answers here would be yes or no, so on and so forth. Okay? So in our setup here, we surveyed 84 people and asked if they own a cat and also asked if they owned a dog. That is two variables. Do you have a cat? Do you have a dog? Okay? Two variables. We're just adding two more columns. Now that you see the columns, are these categorical or numeric variables? They are categorical answers. Okay? You are in the cat owner category or you're not. You're either in the dog owner category or you're not. Okay? So, we're not asking how many cats do you own. We're not asking how many dogs do you own. We're just asking, do you have a cat or multiple cats? Do you have a dog or multiple dogs? Okay? So we have, these are categorical variables. Because the answer is yes or no. Okay? So why do I have numbers here? 22, 25, and 48. Huh?
That's the number of data.
Yeah, so after I go through this entire table of 84 people, I can count how many times somebody said, or count how many people said yes to do you own a cat. And so that means if you imagine that column of cat, okay, you know, we have yes, no, no, yes, etc., okay? After 84 entries, a total of 22 yes answers. Does that make sense?
For cats.
For cats, okay? All right. And if you own a cat, there's no rule on whether or not you also have to own a dog or not, okay? And so some people might have one, some people might have both, some people might have neither, okay? And so that means out of the 84 people, 25 of them said they have a dog, okay? And 48 did not own a pet. That means out of the 84 people, 48 said no to both questions. Is that okay? Bonus question. I'll give extra credit to someone. How many people own both a cat and a dog?
47.
We don't know yet. Alright. Well, can you answer that? Both a cat and a dog. Don't shout out answers if you don't know the answer. Total of 84 people, right? 84 people total. Okay, well, I'll give you 30 seconds to answer this question, and if nobody gets it, we'll just move on.
Is it 14?
I don't think so.
I'm
11. Who said 11? All right. What's your name?
Seba.
Your last name?
G-U-E.
Seva Gudikian. All right. You will get an extra credit point. Remind me if I get to give you one. Plus one. All right. 11 people own both. Okay. Now, how do we do that?
48.
There's a total of 84 people. Okay. So if you're in this circle over here, you own a cat. If you're in this circle over here, you own a dog. And if you're in here, you own both. Okay. What number goes out here? Yeah, so no people, no cat, no dog, 48 out here. Okay? We have a total of 22 people in this circle, and a total of 25 people in this circle. Okay? But if I add 22 plus 25 and 48, what do I get?
More than 84.
Yeah, it's over 84. I get 95. So what's going on there? Yeah, that means I'm counting some people too many times. Okay? So if I do 95 minus 84, I get 11, and so that means 11 people go in here. Okay? And so if 11 people own both a cat and a dog, and I have a total of 22 cat owners, how many people own a cat but no dog? 11. And how many people own a dog and no cat? 14. Can we see that? Because 11 plus 14 have to add up to 25. 11 plus 11 have to add up to 22. So now if I do 11 plus 11 plus 14 plus 48, then I get 84. Alright, but that's beside the point. That was just a bonus question there. Oh gosh. These boards are kind of heavy. Alright, so know the difference between a numeric variable and a categorical variable. At the end of the quarter, you're going to be faced with questions like that. You know, we surveyed 84 people and asked if they owned a cat or a dog or something, you know, and this many people said they owned a cat. You got to be able to read that and say, okay, if I'm going to gather data on whether or not someone owns a cat, their answer is either going to be yes or no. And that means this is a categorical variable. Okay? Even though it says 22 people owned a cat, that's just a summary. Okay? That's a summary of all of the rows in this table. Okay? Because if someone said, how many people in this room are female, you wouldn't say, well, this person's female and this person's female, you know, Samantha's female and so was Jane and so was whoever, okay? You wouldn't go say that, you would just say, oh, out of 84 people, 45 of them are female, okay? I'm telling you a number, 45 are female. Does that mean it's a numeric variable? No, okay? Whether you are male or female is a categorical variable. The summary that just says that the total number of female people you have, that might be very well a number. Actually, it will be a number, okay? The book is going to talk about coding a variable, okay? So this, when we ask the question, do you own a cat or a dog, we said yes and no, okay? Sometimes we could choose to code something this way, okay? We could say, if someone says yes, we put in a 1, and if someone says no, we put in a 0, okay? And so that means my answers here will be 1 and 0 instead. Is the variable numeric or categorical now? It's still categorical. It's still a categorical variable. So just because sometimes you might see numbers that are 1s and 0s here doesn't necessarily mean it's numeric. Okay? It's categorical because we're asking, do you have a dog, yes or no? All we're doing is we're just changing this to 1s and 0s. Okay? But now, have any of you guys used Excel? Now, what we can do is that before we might have had to count how many times we have a yes or how many times we had a no. Now, if I wanted to know how many people own dogs, what can I do? I can just take the total or the sum of this column. Does that make sense? I could just, because, you know, the yes people are now 1s and the no's are still 0, I could just add up everything in this column and that will tell me the total number of people who own a dog. Okay? So now I can get whatever number I wrote over there, 25 as the sum of the column. Okay? So the book talks about coding a variable. That's all it is. Okay? We're just turning our numbers, our categories, into 1s and 0s. And then we can add them up. All right. Is that okay? All right. You have a few more exercises from chapter 1 that go into just basic some arithmetic stuff, okay? So it's gonna ask you for percentages based on some numbers, and I feel it is okay for me to ask you to answer those questions on your own, okay? And if you have trouble with it, I do have a video to guide you through the steps. But it should be straightforward enough, especially if you have the background math for this class. Okay. In chapter 1 also, the book talks about observational studies and experiments. Okay. When we gather data, we can gather them in either an observational study or an experiment. When we take a survey of the class like this, This is just an observational study. All we're doing is we're just basically observing and asking you questions, okay? We're not doing some kind of experiment, okay? So gathering data like this would be considered an observational study. The main difference, well, there's several main differences, and I want you guys to listen first, and then I'll write just a few bullet points on the board, and I'll leave it to your reading this week to fill in the rest, okay? So the main difference between an observational study and an experiment is that in an experiment, we are interfering with the people or the subjects we're studying, and we set up what we call different treatment conditions, okay? Because we want to know if one set of conditions produces different results from another set of conditions, okay? So these conditions could be as simple as does smoking cause health problems in lab rats, okay? We can take a whole bunch of lab rats, and we're going to divide them, separate them into two groups. One group we expose to cigarette smoke, the other group we give them fresh air, and then, we let them live for however long, and we see if any of the lab rats develop health problems, okay? That would be an experiment. We want to know if this environment, the one where they're exposed to smoke, causes a different set of results than the environment with fresh air. Okay, that's an experiment. In an observational study, we don't set up different conditions. Okay, some people may choose to smoke, some people may choose not to, but we are not telling people you have to smoke and you don't get to smoke. We're just saying go live your life, and we ask you, do you smoke or not? And then we ask, do you have these health problems or not? Okay, that's an observational study. Okay. Because we are not assigning conditions in an observational study, we cannot make what we call cause and effect conclusions, or causal conclusions from an observational study. Okay. Maybe at the end of the experiment with the rats, we find out that the rats who've been exposed to cigarette smoke have health problems, and those in fresh air don't have as many health problems, okay? In that kind of experiment, we can say, well, all the other conditions were the same. The only difference was that these rats had cigarette smoke, these rats did not. So, because everything else about these rats were pretty much the same, it's reasonable to conclude that the health problems we observed in this group was because of the cigarette smoke, because everything else about these rats seemed to be pretty much the same. Okay? We can do that with an experiment. Observational study, we can't do that. Okay? Sure, at the end of the study we might see people who smoke cigarettes have more health problems than those who don't smoke cigarettes. But we cannot say, and then here's the hard part, we can't say that the reason why the people who smoked this group had more health problems is because they smoked cigarettes, okay? And that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but what if I change this thing to, we want to know if driving a Mercedes-Benz versus driving a car worth less than $10,000 has an effect on your health, okay? And if we looked at a whole bunch of people, and we saw people who drove cars worth less than $10,000 and people who drove Mercedes-Benz, what would we find? We would find that the people who drove Mercedes-Benz, overall, as a group, have fewer health problems than those who drove the